Hey guys, hope you had a good week. Reading some articles and learning how to break them down to the surrounding things that matter, the events, the occasions, purpose, all that kind of stuff. I do want to reiterate what rhetoric is, because going through reading a lot of your definitions, I'm assuming, and this is me just assuming, but usually I make pretty good assumptions that when the question asks, what is rhetoric? You Googled, what is rhetoric, right? Which is not a bad thing to do. And Google's a great tool. And those are good things to know. But saying that rhetoric is the art of persuasion, which goes back to like Aristotle days, right? Where he talks about everything you do and everything you say is kind of this act of persuasion. But we're gonna use a different definition a little bit. I mean, it's kind of all encompassing, but so if you miss some points because you Googled that, it's because you didn't use the answer that I said we're gonna use going forward. And it's important that you have that mindset when we talk about rhetoric, okay? So remember, rhetoric is anything that you use to get your message to your audience, okay? Or anything someone uses to get the message to the audience. And so when we think about it that way, we can break that down a lot easier than if we're thinking it's this art of persuasion, right? Or whatever kind of that Google answer is that you look. So when we talk about rhetoric, I want the definition that's in your head to be rhetoric is anything that you use to get your message to your audience. And that way we can kind of break that down and talk about common things that people use, and different easy rhetorical devices and those type of things. Okay. So this week we're going to talk a little bit about formatting, which I know is just so fun. But it's important that we know how to format. So most of you, hopefully this is like a review is what I'm hoping. But if you haven't learned kind of MLA format, then this will be a good tool for you. Okay. So you open your Google document, okay, and Google automatically defaults to these settings, right? We have this font size. Now, so for MLA, our font is Times New Roman, okay? And our font size is 12, okay? So that's, that takes all of 3 seconds to change those before we start typing. And then if you go over here to line spacing, you just go to double. And what I like to do is mine's usually saved this way because I do it. But if you go to custom spacing, just make sure both of those say 0. Okay, so you're not getting any extra spacing. If I ever comment on your assignment that you have extra spacing, it means that those things weren't like set to 0. Okay, so we change those settings. Now our formatting is perfect. We don't have to do anything else as far as that is concerned. Except for with MLA, you always have to have a pagination, okay? And that's just kind of like a fancy word for you have to have your last name and page number on every page, okay? So the easy way to do that is you just insert, you go to page number, okay? It's this first one that's in the right-hand corner, okay? So, and then so the cursor will go on this side of the number. You want to put it on the other side, and then you just type your last name, okay? And the cool thing about headers, right, is that anything that's in here goes onto every single page. Now, why I wanted to actually insert a number, right, and I didn't just click into my thing and just type 1, because then when I went to page 2, it'd still say 1. So it's important that you actually insert a page number because that will make sure you have a running tally. Okay, and then we always do our full name, right? We have what's called a heading, okay? And our heading does not go in our header. It's separate. because we don't want it on every page. We just want it on the first page. Okay, so you do your name. I'll just like actually type out what it is instead of doing mine. So you do your name, and you still do your full name, even though you have your last name here. We still want to do our full name. Then you do the teacher, right? Then you do your class period. Well, class, okay? I don't actually like the period. So for you guys, it would say English 11. Like, doesn't that just look so much nicer than like period 2? So that makes it all like fancy. And then you have to do the date, okay? And MLA is kind of special with the date. They want you to do the day and then the month all spelled out and then the year all out. Okay, so this is our heading. Okay, and we always want to have a heading on any formal document that we're writing that needs to be in MLA format. Okay, so the last thing you have to do with MLA is you have to add a title. Okay, and our titles are just centered, and then we go back to left aligned. Okay, so if you notice, I didn't space down 5 times before I put my title, and then I don't space down 20 times after my title. Okay, and your title doesn't need to be underlined, it's not bold, it's not in italics, it is just in the center, and that's the only thing we need to make it different. We know it's our title because of that. Okay, so then we go back to left align, and then remember when we start any paragraph, we're going to indent, okay? And then that's how we start our paragraphs. So just as far as MLA formatting, this is what it should look like, okay? So that takes all of 30 seconds, or if what you want to do, if you want to have like MLA format, and then you always just make a copy and then start doing your documents. I know a lot of students do that and they find it easy because then they don't have to redo it. It's just there. They make a copy every time, name the copy, whatever that current assignment is, and then they always have that blank template of MLA. So you're definitely more than welcome to do that. So that's just kind of MLA format. Okay. And then I'm trying to decide how in depth we want to go. Let's just do, guys, I don't know. I think for this week, we'll do format and create a couple of citations. So let's do that. So there's 2 sides of MLA format. There's the how you actually set up your paper, and then there's the formatting within the paper itself. Okay, so let's say I'm typing, oh my gosh, this is just gold. This is really good. Are you reading this? This is just fantastic. Okay, and I decide I want to use a quote. Okay, so there's 2 things that I need to do in order to have a quote. The first thing I need to do is I need to signal to my readers that a quote's coming. So that's called a signal phrase. And in my signal phrase, I need 2 pieces of information. The 2 pieces that are usually the easiest is the author's name and the title. Okay, so then I'd say, in the novel, let's just do Hunger Games because I'm reading the new Hunger Games book by Suzanne Collins. It states, okay, and then I'm going to have my quote. Okay, so Hunger Games, though, of course, is a title of something, which means we need to italicize it. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're doing that. Then I'd have my quote. It's a really cool quote. Okay, and then after my quote, I need what's called a parenthetical citation, which is really just a like long, scary word for I need a page number or paragraph number in parentheses. Okay, it's really not that hard. Okay, so then my reader knows, oh, if I go to page 3, I can find this quote. Okay, so if you notice, I don't need to say page, PG, I just have 3, and then that's totally fine. Okay, so this is how a parenthetical citation looks with a signal phrase. Okay, here's my signal phrase where I have the title and the author. But let's say now I'm going down, I'm typing, you know, again, this is a really good paper. super well. And I want to use that source again. You know, I'm just doing really awesome quotes. Okay. Then, whoops. This is what my parenthetical citation looks without a signal phrase. So every time you use a source, you only need one signal phrase for each new source. So if you only have one source in your paper, you only ever have to have one signal phrase. So the first time you use it, you need the signal phrase, and then anytime after, you just put the author's last name and the number, and then your reader knows, oh, that's from what you already had referenced above. Okay. Let's say I'm doing an online article and it doesn't have page numbers. Okay. So according to the page love in Wikipedia. Okay, so a couple things really quick. So minor publications are in quotation marks, okay, like an article title, which would be, or a page within a website. And then major publications, like the website itself or a book, are going to be italicized. Okay, so I know love is kind of the article, or it's the page on Wikipedia. And then I have my quote. And then I'm going to do paragraph, PAR, and then 5. Okay. And if you notice in both of these, my periods in all of them, my period goes on the outside of the parenthesis. Okay. So not inside of the quotation mark, but on the outside of the parenthesis. Okay. And so that's how we do in-text citations. Okay. We have a signal phrase the first time we use a source, which needs to have 2 pieces of information. Usually it's the author and the title, but like in this case, right, Wikipedia doesn't have an author, so instead I use the article title and the website, but I still have 2 pieces of information of kind of where it happens. Okay, and then so we have our in-text citations, and then we have our citation page. Okay, so really quick, this is going to be a long, what's going on? Why won't it give me a break? Insert break. There we go. I don't know why that wasn't working. Okay. So on my citations page, I'm going to title it Works Cited. Okay. So again, it's a title. So it goes in the center of the page. If you notice, I capitalize the W, I capitalize the C because it's the title. It's right at the top of the page. And then I go back left aligned. Okay, so let's say I have my 2 citations. So I'm totally fine if you want to use EasyBib or Citation Maker, all those things that create citations. If you use good sources from good databases, which we'll cover another week, then it automatically cites for you. So I recommend using good sources. But otherwise, you should kind of know what it looks like. Okay, so you always do last name, comma, first name. Whoops. Okay, period. Then you would do the title. Guess it's The Hunger Games. Does it really matter? No, because it's just for show. Okay, then I would say where it was published, which I don't know. Who published it, and the year it was published. And then I always say the medium. Okay, so this was a print. I actually have the physical copy of the book. This is how this is. Okay, and then my next source, right? Because I don't have an author, I'd go to the next thing. So my title, and then I would do publisher. Well, this is the website, and then Wikipedia actually is their own publisher. They have their own foundation. And then if it's currently within the same month, within the same year. Sorry, not the same. Then you need to put the month, but